Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With Major 1 kicking off tomorrow, the Paris Legion have confirmed the roster addition we expected them to make, but also Dashy talking about how Rambo's coaching style has helped him tone down the ego chow, which may well help OpTic Texas out this coming weekend. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Thank you very much also to PrizePicks for supporting today's content. If you guys have not yet got involved in the coolest daily fantasy product I've seen in the sports and esports space for a very long time, now's the perfect time with the major just on the horizon. On the Call of Duty side, we can look at the kills. Over under these kills for the first 3 maps of the game. I'm sure they're going to add more stuff to this over time as well. But not just can I go for the Call of Duty picks, I can also combine these with all the other sports and esports. We'll dive into an example because CleanX right here, 61.5 kills over the first 3 maps against Thieves. If they play Barrage map 1, which was the case last time these two teams played, then he's probably a decent pick at over 61.5, so I'm going to go with that. Now I could pick another player, which is what I will do, but if I wanted to, I could say, okay, the NFL Combine's going on kind of soon. Do I think Kenny Pickett's going to go above or below a 4.8 for his 40-yard dash? I've got absolutely no idea, so I'm not going to pick it, but still, that's something I could do, add that to my entry. I'm going to go back to Call of Duty and say, look, I think Asim might get outclassed in the SMG category up against London. I'm going to say under on this front, and then I can choose, okay, flex or power play, depending on how confident I am. I would be able to place the entry if I was in the US and Canada. Because I'm in the UK, it won't allow me to as of yet. These are all the states where it's available. The red ones are the states it's not available as of yet. And PrizePicks will match any deposit you make up to $100 when you use the link in the description box below. So thanks to PrizePicks, really cool service. Let's crack right on with the content. Firstly, this from OpTic Gaming. Yesterday we talked about, okay, what's going on with their announcements. I thought it might be some sort of new esports team, right? We talked about, okay, could it be an OpTic Academy roster? They're actually partnering up with Razer as their peripheral sponsor. Kind of interesting, right? Because some organizations, right, this is just OpTic in general, are actually partnering up in not just the Call of Duty team, I guess. But, a lot of organizations in the CDL themselves don't necessarily have all that many sponsorships going on right now. I'm pretty sure there was maybe it was a year ago or so, where there was some sort of graph that came out saying, okay, what sponsors do these teams actually have? And some organizations barely have any already in the CDL. Maybe they're waiting for better opportunities to come along. But, no, I thought this is pretty good from OpTic to get this one locked in. This also from Playstyle. We'll talk about League play real quick. Ranked play, of course. He has 73 eliminations right here for the loss. So, well, impressive. He's playing with Hydra actually in this one as well. But there was some discussion on the Guerrillas anti-tank rifle, which apparently is allowed right now in ranked play that people are running around with. Now, this supposedly, according to Lawrence Merton, is going to be restricted in an upcoming update. So, if you guys have been running into this, not a problem we imagine going forward. But I do wonder whether the meta in the pro scene is going to change over time. Right now, MP40 auto, they're dominating all across the board. Some nerfs came through to the MP40. I remember there was a clip of Shotzi using the well gun not all that long ago to pretty good effect. Maybe at some point we'll see a meta change. But for now, it seems like the MP40 and the auto are going to be here for quite some time to come. Let's talk then about the Paris Legion confirming GRVTY into their starting roster. We looked at yesterday that Decimator's out of there. GRVTY is now officially in. We believe this means that Fellow might be on the flex role. We also think Jimbo might be still joining the team because he signed a contract GIF, even though we're kind of unsure whether Jimbo is going to come straight into the starting team, if they're going to try out Fellow for a little bit over there, if they're going to have someone on their sub bench. But Decimator's straight up gone, right? So they don't even keep him around as a sub. GRVTY's in. First time in a very long time that this guy, after so much talk over the last couple of years about what a hot prospect this guy is as a mania for the Challengers front and what he could potentially do if he gets a shot in the Pro League, they're giving him a chance now. Definitely a long time coming, I think, for GRVTY to get this opportunity. Excited to see what he can do. But just on the Paris Legion in general, it's going to be a difficult time for these guys to have masses of success, especially because in the very first round of losers, they play either OpTic or Seattle Surge. It's going to be a far from easy debut, but if he can show some promise and win a map or so, all of a sudden we're thinking, okay, maybe Paris can do something right with this new roster, especially if they make an additional change. Maybe Jimbo comes in at some point or another over the coming weeks. I'm certainly sure that after this major, a lot of teams might consider changes, right? And maybe only big changes will go down after Stage 2's major, just because that's kind of like the mid-season break they have, where the teams can really create some blockbuster roster moves if they want to. After between Stage 1 major and Stage 2, there really isn't all that much time to actually make a significant move. But still, teams have been doing it already. There's no kind of roster change periods like there used to be. Back in the CWL days, you used to have a couple of weeks that were designed for teams to make roster moves, and outside of that, they couldn't do it. Now it's just free game all across the board. This then, as Chrome points out yesterday, there was spotted on Call of Duty League's YouTube, a community update coming, the second community update. I was kind of wondering whether we were going to get one of these, because before the kickoff we had one, they talked about they'd been listening to the feedback, they were, switching up exactly how it was going in terms of the format for the majors, right, that it was just going to be 8 teams, they put it back to 12, the other things they discussed as well. Now, they say big news right here. So imagine there's something pretty good going on here, which hopefully we'll get to talk about later today. This is what they say in the description. So he's going to take you through the season updates, talks including new maps for the league, rookies entering the season, much more. This was quite interesting, new maps for the league, because we've certainly been hoping that this map set is actually going to, well, improve to some degree. They added a couple of new maps in. Casablanca was discussed, like maybe like Berlin Control, for example, if they fix the way the spawns work, that could come in as the third control map. Like we really need something else in these map sets right now, because we used to have 5-5-3, that used to be the go-to, and now we're sitting here at 4-4-2, and it's really not great across the board, especially for a best of 9, when there's going to be a lot of repeat map sets, I'm sure, in that series, in the grand finals this coming weekend. But and also the problem is, I think, for the pros, is that they don't really have much chance to actually make this turnaround happen, because the major one finishes this weekend on the Sunday, then on the next Friday, like, the matches start for stage 2, which means that, okay, maybe the Texas teams will be back at home already on Monday, even though a lot of the other teams will be traveling back on Monday. So a lot of the other teams are only going to get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to try out what might happen, which really means that, like, it's going to be very quickly indeed after this major concludes that the teams are going to have to decide, okay, this is what we want to change in terms of the map set, because we did see that last year. I think they probably have some ideas. Also, we want this update to come through in the control, right? We want the control to change where round 5 is determined by how many ticks you captured rather than how many kills you have total. That's a massive change they made last year. Like, do we have time to integrate that, right? Hopefully these are the things they're going to discuss. Hopefully something else big on the horizon as well. This also, let's dive into the OpTic discussion. So as Illy says, whatever it takes. Clay says, you know, whatever meaning anything, right? Like, how far is whatever for what it takes in this particular situation, right? Is breaking a GA allowed, or whatever the case might be. If Clay's is going to use an unintended line of sight, does that count in the whole whatever it takes discussion? But well, Dashy had a few interesting words to say last night in an interview with Upcomer, just talking about well, how they had a pretty bad start to the season, turned it around drastically, and exactly what has caused that, right, and why they're back in business. Because I saw some talk about Dashy the last couple of days or so, the fact that, well, he won his last event on, I guess it was December the 9th, I think, 2018, Las Vegas in Black Ops 4. In fairness, there's a lot of players who won that year, the likes of Kenny, Octane, like, they're still competing today, that haven't won an event since then. But I believe that now, since Dashy's victory, it's something like 1100 days since he's won an event. And I remember back in the Black Ops 4 days, early Black Ops 4, there was all this talk about, okay, Playstyle, like, wow, Clay's has fallen off so much. At the time, he was on a 1,000+ day streak without winning an event, and at the end of that year, he turns up after it gets to 1,400 days and wins playoffs and champs on a United, and then kind of carries that success through onto the Dallas Empire in Modern Warfare. But it's been quite some time. If Dashy doesn't win an event this year, he will, I think, break the record for the longest current serving player without winning an event who has won one in the past. So, well, it's definitely time for these guys to finally get over the line once again, and maybe some of these factors are going to help them, because as Dashy describes in this article, that, you know, losing those first 2 series in close fought fashion, like, it was more of a wake-up call. They thought they were the top dogs, they thought they were the guys to beat. Trident Shots, he made that kind of clear as well, right? Even after they lost those 2 series, he still thought they were the best team in the game, which maybe they've proved to some degree the last couple of weeks. It's tough to put the number 1, of course. We'll see how things transpire this weekend. The 2 losses weren't bad. We lost 2 maps to Search and Destroy. In the long run, they could be blessings in disguise. I think that's something we've seen as well with FaZe, especially the last year or so, that it's difficult to keep your head down all the time, like the entire year, and being the biggest grinders out of any team when you're winning everything. Like, an occasional loss for the FaZe guys, like, kind of perked them up, especially Stage 5 Major. It felt like once they lost at Stage 5 to Seattle Surge in the losers bracket there, they went out 8th place. Like, it really felt like, okay, that's going to be the wake-up call, that's going to be the catalyst for them just to come and swing into champs and win it kind of comfortably. Now, Dashy also touches on the whole ego child discussion. That's always been a thing about Dashy, right? Like, this guy, his gun skill is insane, but it probably does mean because his gun skill is just so good that sometimes he takes gunfights that he's not favoured to win, and therefore he loses them or gives his team a difficult position, right? Because dying and spawning out isn't ideal. So as he says, I guess you could say I was ego challenging. I was challenging gunfights that wasn't in my favour. The Start AR believes a good chunk of that criticism is noise, just, you know, people talking. But as he says, like, my energy, some days in the past I wouldn't communicate my energy. My teammates wouldn't know how I was really feeling. That's one thing I'm working on this year that Formal taught me when I was on the team last year. It's not just praising Formal for teaching him how to, communicate how he's feeling, right? And making sure everyone's on top form to the rest of his team. But also, he goes on to talk about Rambo, right? And the whole ego child discussion here in this clip. I'll leave the entire thing linked down below for you guys if you would like to check it out in full, because there's a lot more that was said. But as he says, I always viewed the game the same way I'm playing it now. I was always trying to play the game the same way that Rambo viewed it, but I wasn't actually doing it in some situations. Saying that, like, look, I've had these discussions with Rambo, and I kind of see the game the same way Rambo sees it, but I don't always play it in that way, right? As he says right here, it's just hard not to ego chal everything. So, like, he's definitely admitting here that, like, in the past and kind of maybe earlier this season, he's definitely been taking gunfights he shouldn't really be taking. But he's worked with Rambo and he understands, yeah, Rambo understands how to play the game. I understand how to play the game. I just don't always follow my own philosophy in not taking the gunfights that I'm very tempted to take. And not taking them at times, like, just staying alive is obviously way more critical in certain situations. situations. So, well, I thought this is pretty interesting. Seemed like Rambo really and Formula as well as helped out Dashy communicate better with his team, but also just become a better player, right? And that's going to be critical if he's going to break this, well, drought without a victory. Of course, the last couple of years have been tough, because when Clayster was on this drought, that was kind of through like Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, where there were a lot of tournaments that you could theoretically win. Nowadays, like, well, maybe there's less tournaments, right? And FaZe have been so dominant that it's kind of more difficult to win nowadays anyway, it seems. But still, maybe that will change this season. This also from Cronin at CDL Intel, the pre-Major 1 MVP ladder. So he reached out to me and several other people, getting people to vote their kind of top 10 players right now. So going into stage 1, it seems like Cellium, aBeZy, Shotzzy, the top 3 on most people's list. Kind of agree with this right now. I think this may well be tweaked slightly over time. I kind of hope that this season it's not just like FaZe again, the top 3, Cell, aBeZy and Simp as it kind of was last year, even though people were chucking Cammy up there at the end and all this type of stuff. Hopefully someone from outside FaZe can, well, maintain their spot in this top 3. Maybe Shotzzy's going to be the guy to do exactly that. This also from Nadeshot real quick as well, who was talking about since I dropped out of college in my sophomore year, does that still mean I have NCAA eligibility? So there's been a lot of talk lately, right, about Call of Duty players and other players in Valorant, I guess, and other esports going to college and getting a scholarship effectively to play esports professionally at that college. We saw Silly do it, which, I mean, look, it's kind of, there was some talk about the fact that Silly did it. He's a Call of Duty world champion in 2018. He wants to get his college degree, and he's going to go there and play in the Collegiate COD League, but and actually get a scholarship to cover, well, part of the degree cost or all of the degree cost, whatever it might be. Really cool now that, well, colleges are actually offering this for esports athletes. I guess they're going to consider them. But, I mean, still, people were saying, okay, yeah, should Silly actually really be doing this? But at the end of the day, you can't really blame him if the opportunity is there and, like, you know, to take the chance. Even though the poor kids in the Collegiate COD League have to run into a world champion every so often. But, well, as Nadeshot says, you know, who knows? Maybe he'll make it happen. Call of Duty or Valorant is the only question. So, well, this will be cool. Certainly going to keep my eyes on it. Maybe something that Nadeshot will actually give a go. And just this clip here from Shawnee to finish out the video. The Rats, there's been some talk about this weapon as well, because, I mean, yeah, this gun obviously very good. I'm honestly mind-blown how he gets this kill long range all the way here on Tuscan. That was like, what, 3 or 4 bullets across the map? Yes, it was some headshots, but, I mean, yeah, that's pretty disgusting, to be honest. So, yeah, the Rat is pretty good. Maybe some changes needed here. Shawnee's like, okay, how is the Rat even allowed right now in the game? So we need to GA this weapon ASAP. Been quite some time since we've talked about weapon GA stuff. So, well, maybe it's time this comes back on the menu. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Thanks to PrizePicks. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button tells the YouTube gods this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
Truck. Jolly. We shoot Jolly, one's on point. He's coming. Nice.
Adam, I think one's pushed out.
I'm
trying to check it.
Deliver if you can.
Oh my god.
Nice. Oh, my
Yo.